All right. So anyway, welcome to our Zoom into a career series. I'm Andrew Kohler, the community relations coordinator at Yelm Community Schools, and today we have Kurt Hardin, the director of emergency services, with us to share a little bit about their career. Remember, this Zoom is recorded and posted for future viewing. Students are encouraged to enter questions, and we will address a few of them based on time. So anyway, welcome, Kurt. And would you mind telling us a little bit about your job?
Sure. Again, as the director of emergency services for Thurston County, I've got a couple of different areas that I work with. First one is Medic One, and that's EMS, emergency medical services within the county. And just a little bit about that, I work with 12 fire agencies, 2 private ambulance companies, the 2 hospitals, and dispatch, just to name a few here within the county. And one of the things that you may not know is we have over 35,000 EMS dispatches a year for 911 calls for service. So that's where somebody requests medical attention, and we turn around and we dispatch either an EMT, a paramedic, or both crews to the location. Also, emergency management. And what emergency management has is responding to and recovering from emergencies and disasters, both natural and man-made. And I will tell you that in the last couple months, we've been a little busy because we first had the Nisqually flood that happened back in February, and we had to respond to that. And we were just ending the response to that and starting the recovery process when COVID-19 came up. And coronavirus. And so we've been heavily engaged in that, supporting public health during this response. And this has been, as everyone knows, a pandemic. So it has international, national, local implications. So I would tell you that from the emergency management perspective, we work in the Emergency Coordination Center in the county, that's ECC, where we bring the various departments, cities, public health agencies, Red Cross, law enforcement, all those entities, organizations that need to be part of the response. We bring them under one roof to help coordinate that response.
And how often do you hold those meetings where everyone gets together?
We do exercises routinely throughout the year, but in preparation for the actual activations. And so we may do anywhere from, if it's a major exercise, like in 2022, we're signed up to do a national, a level exercise, which it will happen. That one will probably be our sole focus for the entire year, but we also do mini exercises quarterly or semi-annually, depending on the complexity of the exercise.
And then going back to what feels like a year ago is the Nisqually River flooding. Kind of how did the initial process start? And then, as you mentioned, you were just wrapping it up. What did the wrap up phase look like as well?
Sure. The initial start was, as you know, we got a period of weather systems came in. We were monitoring those weather systems. But what really started it for us was when the Tacoma Power notified us that the LeGrand Dam would start increasing their discharge rate at their facility. And so what happens is when that discharge rate, that water rate goes up, cubic feet per second starts increasing, we have trigger points that tell us to what will happen downstream. It met one of those trigger points, and we activated and started public notification, and the sheriff's office started helping us go door to door to advise residents in certain areas about evacuation requirements, because as the water levels were rising, we wanted to make sure that people were notified to get out of the way. And so that started the process. We provided information. The sheriff's office provided evacuation response. And then also we coordinated with United Way for a campaign for cash contributions from the public to help those who are impacted. And then we got Washington Conservation Corps to help people during the recovery process, help clean out their homes for those that were flooded. So in other words, get the muck out, get the debris out. Public Works set up and coordinated some sites where they could toss their debris, some dumpsters, and then we could have those dumpsters, that debris hauled off to the landfill, to the wharf. So there was a coordinated effort all across the county to make this happen. We had City of Olympia participating, a number of other jurisdictions participating, because when you have a disaster, typically they don't respect county or city lines. And so therefore, we need to make sure all the municipalities and jurisdictions in the county are working with us.
And one of the important things that maybe people should know is these plans are somewhat put in place, and it's always a little bit of adjustment, when these natural disasters happen. But putting together those plans well in advance, and you can even look at those plans on the Thurston County website of like earthquakes and other significant things. And would you say that kind of stems from getting everyone together in the same room?
It does. And so what we do is so our planning process usually starts years earlier. Our comprehensive emergency management plan has been around for a number of years. We periodically update it, and because things change. We had just gone through an update cycle that ended last year. And so it was fairly fresh. But what we do is we reach out to our various stakeholders, and they're part of our process for doing our comprehensive emergency management plan, as an example, and our emergency support function annexes. So emergency support function is those organizations that have a key piece of a response. And I will take maybe just one, emergency support function 13, public safety. Typically, we have law enforcement that comes together from across the county, the various cities, and the sheriff's department that forms the core of ESF 13 public safety. And that was part of our plan that we activated during the Nisqually flooding when the sheriff's office went door to door to notify people for evacuation.
And then kind of shifting gears, and what kind of education or training did you or do you have, and do you need to have for a job like yours?
Well, I would say it's a variety of different skills and abilities. First of all, you got to be able to work in a constantly changing and flexible environment. And I will tell you that to start with, an example of that is we get into one of our activations. As we're going through the activation process, as we're doing the response, we realize that the plan may have asked us to do one thing, but then we realize a best practice may be to alter that just slightly so that we can turn around and give a better response for the people out there in the impacted area. But one of the things you have to be is you have to be flexible, you have to be adaptable. I will tell you that one of our key pieces that we are utilizing, and it becomes more and more critical, is GIS. We look at GIS because we can get so much data that's out there and pull that data together to get a situational awareness, but also help us in the response areas and also in the recovery areas. We use GIS during the Nisqually flooding to show potential impacted areas from the floodwaters, and then turn around and take that, and we could send Washington Conservation Corps crews out to those areas to see if people actually were impacted, do a damage assessment, but also help then target those areas for debris removal and also for helping people clean the muck out of their houses. So GIS is one of those areas. I would say that the ability to gather information and create situational awareness is another key skill. And so I would say that the GIS piece that people can do now when they're in school is really important. The ability to plan and do multitasking is important. And then also I will tell you that one of the skill sets for this, that is this natural skill set, is out of the fire service or law enforcement or the military. A lot of times people come from those areas and turn around and go into the emergency management field after that. And so a lot of people in emergency management either have law enforcement background, fire background, or military background, which has a good training area for incident command.
And then some people may not be familiar with municipal government or government in general. What can you describe GIS in a brief kind of a brief description?
GIS takes their data sets of information, such as the assessor's office. The assessor's office will go out, provide information such as where the land is located, what fire district it's in, turn around and provides different pieces of information. Same with schools, same with fire stations. What it does is GIS takes that data points, puts them together into a map. You need to build layers. The layers tell you and can show you different issues, such as the layers that we were using during Nisqually flooding was elevation along the riverbanks, projected rise of the river, and so we could see projected impacts of the water, where the water the computer modeling would show us where it might go. And we work closely with the National Weather Service to get us some of that information. We work with Tacoma Power and the modeling that's been done to show what happens when the cubic feet per second rises to a certain area, a certain level.
And then, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but you know, what do you recommend students do now? You recommended kind of looking into and getting familiar with GIS. What else would you recommend?
I'd recommend doing some extracurricular activities. They can go in and touch base and talk to their local fire agency, fire district, or fire department, and see if they have a program for people to come in and volunteer. It gives them an opportunity to see firsthand how the response takes place. Because I'll tell you, fire agencies are on the front lines every day. They get, like I said, we did about 35,000 calls last year for EMS fire, and that's numbers not going down. Unfortunately, it's a growth industry because the demand keeps going up and up. But I would recommend people take a look and explore being a volunteer in a fire department, taking an EMT course, and so that you can be prepared to go out and be an EMT on a fire or EMS response unit. That's some of the things I would say that can do that. If they're going on to college, Pierce College, as an example, has a degree in emergency management. So there's a number of higher education institutions out there that are offering degrees in emergency management. So there's a number of areas that they can explore.
And then what advice would you have given yourself in high school to better prepare you for your career field?
I guess the advice I would have given myself in high school is don't get too wrapped into what you're going to do in the next 4 years. Because when I went to college, I came out with a business major and a degree in finance, and I was going to work in the business world. And I don't know if I've ever stepped foot in the business world since I came out of college, because I went into the military, then I came out of the military, went into emergency management, went into Medic One. And so I would say that be flexible. That's the advice I would give anyone right now, is focus on what you want to do, find something you're passionate about, but also understand that you'll go through phases of life where you'll change your focus, change your direction, and that's okay. But right now, find something that you're passionate about and do that.
All right. And is there anything else that you'd like to add? Coming up on the 15-minute mark, so I don't want to keep you too long.
Okay, and I appreciate that. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everyone, give a little bit of background, but I will also like to say that and I already alluded to it, but as you're getting ready to go forward in life, you have to enjoy what you're doing. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, it can be you can, the words I'm looking for is, you have to have passion. You have to enjoy it, because then it becomes a joy to go to work. It doesn't become something that you dread every time you get up in the morning. So have a reason to get up in the morning, have a reason to go out there and go to work. And I will tell you, emergency management and Medic One and EMS, that's a joy and a passion that I can get behind. I would encourage anyone to at least take a look at it, because I think it'll be a rewarding career if you really want to take a look and find something that you give back to the community.
Did you go through a couple different career opportunities before you landed in emergency management?
I did. I went through well, first of all, like I said, I came through college. I was going to be in business, work in finance, actually work in financial institutions. And that changed pretty quick. I don't think I stepped foot in a bank other than to be a customer. And then, so I went through that piece of it. When I got out of the military, I was going to go back into banking, investments. That never worked out because I got into emergency management as a temporary job, and 23 years later, I'm still in emergency management, as well as now I've started EMS. So I will tell you that I've gone through a couple of iterations, but I never really worked in the career field that I thought I was going to work in.
And that's kind of how it goes, and being flexible is just that much more important. And that's, I don't know, just seeing examples of that, I think it will be encouraging. It's encouraging for me, and I'm sure it'll be encouraging for the students watching this as well. And anyway, I just want to say thank you again, Kurt, for joining us, and we really do appreciate you sharing your experience.
Oh, you're welcome, and I enjoyed doing it. So I would tell everybody, if they have questions, ask them. The only way you can get answers is ask your questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye.